Okay, week 2, day 3, we're looking at range of motion and the mind-muscle connection. Let's go. So we're going to keep it fairly simple. We're going to look at what we mean by range of motion, or ROM, and then how we can improve it, and what we mean when we talk about the mind-muscle connection, and also then how we can enhance that and utilize it in our workouts. So range of motion is the full movement potential of a joint. So if you look at your fingers, you can move your finger from one side, you can flex it down, you can make it stand back up. You probably can't bend it back unless you've got hyperdexterous fingers. So your range of motion would be from that point until you can bend it down. That's your full range of motion. Okay, so when we look at range of motion, especially when we're holding weight, if you think about something like a pull-up, you will often see people with a pull-up doing a shortened range of motion. So they will not fully drop down at the bottom of their pull-up, and they will not fully pull up to, say, the bar at their chest. And they will do these kind of mini pull-ups. That is not a full range of motion. And what that means is you are only working some of the muscle. You're only putting stress on some of the muscle. So the more we utilize our full range of motion, the better it is for our muscle development and our flexibility. If you are extending your joint fully with weight and you're adding stress along the full length of the muscle, and that will encourage the muscle to repair and grow along the full length rather than just the part that you're working if you only do a partial range of motion. So it gives us better flexibility. It increases the amount of strength that we can hold, because we can also hold weight when our arm is fully extended and when it's fully contracted. If you aren't training it for the full range of motion, you won't be able to hold that weight all the way down. It's also really good for injury prevention, as again, injuries often come from where we fall or trip or something, or have to use our limbs in a way that we're not used to. And because we're not used to doing that, our body then will experience more damage or a tear or something like that, because the joint and the muscles are being put in a position that they're not normally used. So you've got to think about the impact of that. So how do we improve our range of motion? Well, dynamic stretches is a great way to start. We do that at the beginning of a workout, and that enables our muscles and our joints to be used to the full range of motion before we start adding weight. At the end of a session, we do static stretches, and this helps us to hold the elongated length of the muscle in place, so the body, the nerves, everything gets used to the full extent that joint can be pushed to. And again, that will help with flexibility over time. If you do consistent mobility work like yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, something like that, where you're moving your body in a way that you wouldn't normally use it in day-to-day exercise or day-to-day use, that will also contribute to a full range of motion. If you strength train with a full range of motion, like I was saying before, that will benefit because the muscles will get stronger along the full length, and they will also recruit more motor units. The muscles are often stronger than you might think they are, because not all the motor neuron units are recruited. So the more we train them fully, the more motor units get recruited before we start building extra muscle. And then finally, if you start doing things like deep tissue massage or foam rolling, there's some evidence that can contribute to a fuller range of motion, because it allows the myofascia release. So basically, under your skin and over the muscles is like a sinewy thing that it's like when you pull off chicken breast skin, you'll sometimes notice it. You'll have like this weird veiny thing over the top of the muscle. That is your myofascia, and by releasing that, that can sometimes get caught on the muscle, and by releasing that, that will allow the muscles and the myofascia to move better. So mind-muscle connection is the conscious and deliberate focus of contracting the muscle during the exercise rather than just mindlessly going from point A to point B. I think as you're starting out, you will probably be what they call unconsciously or consciously incompetent with the movements that you're doing. It won't be till you start actually adding weight that you realize how your body isn't used to doing that movement, and you have to start thinking about what you're doing. And that really is a good time to really hone in on your mind-muscle connection. That is to slow everything down, to really think about what is happening while you go through that movement. This is good because it enables better muscle activation. Your brain is actually then talking to the muscle and saying, hey, we need to be doing a bit more than we're currently doing. So you get more motor units being recruited to activate more strength. It also allows you to control the movement and the muscle better. If you are thinking about the muscles that you're working, you can often find that you can actually shift your posture around to utilize them better. I find this often with pull-ups and push-ups, where sometimes my body is not in the right position, and it takes me to hang there to really think about what's going on before I can start contracting my shoulder blades in and then utilizing the correct muscles. Quality over quantity. This again is, if you do a good form rep, it is far better for your development long term than just doing more reps but badly. Again, going back to pull-ups, you will see people doing pull-ups in a very haphazard way, and they will not get as much development because their muscles aren't being used properly, or they're using momentum instead of actually using the contractile strength of their muscles. And then finally, the more you focus on it, the more you reinforce the good form in your head, the more that gets laid down as a memory, a muscle memory, and then you slowly stop having to think about it. It becomes unconsciously competent, or you become unconsciously competent. You are able to do the movement without thinking about it, which means your brain is then free to start focusing on actually, say, the heaviness of the weight and actually lifting a bit more, or you're able to think about, bracing your core a bit more. So your brain can shift from thinking about the movement into thinking about supporting the movement with the rest of your body in different ways. So how do we enhance it? As I've said, just thinking about the muscle and not the movement will help. So if you're actually thinking, right, can I feel this muscle that is being moved? That will really help. If I skip down a bit, you see, touch the target muscle. I did this today. I was trying to do a bicep curl and I realized I couldn't feel my bicep. So I actually put my finger on it while I was doing it, and suddenly I was much more aware of the muscle, especially as it contracted, what was happening to it as the shape changed. And that helped me then when I took my finger off to understand what the muscle was going through, and I was able to connect to it a bit better and actually start to feel it while I was going through the movements. Slow down your reps. Tempo and time under tension are vital for muscle growth. If you are rushing through your movements, I keep doing bicep curls because you can see them. If you rush through your movements, you will not be able to build that connection. You will not get the benefit of that. Slow it down so you can actually feel every bit of the movement, every creak in your joint as you're going. You can feel when the tendons are stretched, when your nerves are going, I think that's too much. You will be able to sense that if you slow it down. So instead of counting 1, 2, maybe do 1, 2, 3. Pause for 1 at the bottom of the movement. 1, 2, 3 on the upward movement. So concentric is where the contraction happens, so where we're shortening the muscle. Eccentric, by the way, is when we lengthen the muscle. And again, as a beginner, think about using lighter weights. That just helps you learn the movement, but it helps your muscles understand what the movement feels like with some added tension. Okay, so just think about this while you're doing your workouts. Forge a better connection between your mind and your muscles, and you'll suddenly unlock your full potential. You'll find that you'll be able to take movements a bit further, and you'll also understand what is holding you back. So train smart, watch your strength and abilities soar by focusing on what is happening and using your full range of motion. See you tomorrow.